Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Influential Creatrix Podcast. My name is Rita Egidio, and here I am hosting this amazing podcast. Wow. I have Katie here. Katie, do you want to present yourself? I always ask my guests to tell their story because nobody tells better than you. So who you are, where are you from, and what you do?
Okay, thank you. So I'm Katie Williams. I am originally from just outside London in England, and I now live in Glasgow in Scotland. Mm-hmm. And I am a psychotherapist, a coach, and a yoga teacher. Okay. So yeah, in my work, I combine all of those things.
Nice. I am a coach as well, and I combine practical strategies to grow online, get more followers, more likes, more clients. But at the same time, I use tapping to help go through the blog. So I think that is really interesting. Then we are start to combine different things to come together and results. So, but what is your story? How long are you a coach and how you start?
So I'm trying to think of explaining this without taking a very long time. So I originally worked in fashion retail. That's my background. So I did that for 15 years, and I decided to retrain in 2015. And I spent 5 years training to be a therapist, a coach, and a yoga teacher. I did them separately because I was working full time, and the idea of doing multiple qualifications while working full time was it was a bit much. So I started seeing clients in 2019, and once I got my qualifications and so on, I became self-employed in September last year. So I've been seeing clients for a while, but doing this full time since September last year.
Nice. And how was the first time you had the paying client?
It didn't actually feel that different to clients that I'd been working with as part of my training. Obviously, I got paid and that was different, but it didn't make any difference to me in terms of the energy that I put into working with that person. And it just seemed like a nice little added benefit to get some money for it as well. I'd been used to doing it for no money. So, I mean, it felt great. I think the first time I stopped working with my first paying client, that was really good. So I'd got them, where they wanted to be. And that felt really good to have finished with somebody for the first time.
Oh, I never did. I always ask about the beginning. I never ask about the end, but the end is what gives us the security, then our job is good, right? It was difficult for you to ask for money, or was something natural? Because that is one of the biggest problems of our audience.
It was actually okay for me. I understand that it's not realistic to help everybody for free. It would be wonderful if we could all do that. But I also realize that if you think about money as energy and it being an exchange of energy, if I'm engaged, for example, in a coaching process or a therapy process from a client point of view, I'm going to put much more of myself into it if I've paid for it.
Oh yeah.
And so I see that from the client's point of view, I feel it can be quite disempowering to just give people without there being some kind of exchange on their part, because the energy is only going one way there, and that's not helpful for them.
No, I agree with you 100%. Did you raise your prices to the process, or you still practice the same prices than 1 year ago?
So I have changed them. So what I was offering was separate therapy and separate coaching services, which had very different pricing structures. And I've now combined them. So I'm not offering those separate services anymore, which means that my prices have gone up overall.
Nice. And what is the why behind you want to be a coach? What is your why?
My why is, it really starts with my experience of having therapy and having coaching, because it was so impactful for me. It was life-changing. And that's simply the why, is if I can have that impact on even one person, I would be delighted. Just to be able to, even if it's not necessarily life-changing for that person, but just have some positive influence on someone's life. And that therefore trickles out into their relationships, their friendships, their experience at work, their whole life. And I think that's an incredible thing to be able to do.
What kind of people do you work with?
So I mostly work with women, not because I don't want to work with men, but I find that women tend to seek help around certain issues more readily. I work with a lot of perfectionists, a lot of people pleasers, a lot of people with quite high functioning anxiety. And what's interesting is that most of them probably wouldn't give themselves the labels that I've just used. They would come to me and say something is wrong, or I feel burnt out, or I feel stressed all the time, or people don't appreciate me. They wouldn't necessarily recognize that those behaviors are happening. So, and I don't necessarily give them those labels, but for the purposes of being succinct, it's easier to use them.
I have a quote, then I love it. It's not mine. Perfection is fear in another outfit. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I feel comfortable saying that from my own experience. That's exactly what my experience has been like when dealing with perfectionism. It's completely fear and anxiety based, for me at least. And it's fascinating how we don't realize that in ourselves until we have somebody maybe that helps reveal it to us. And I certainly had that experience with my therapist when she suggested that, or asked me if I considered myself to be a perfectionist. And I said to her, absolutely not. If I was a perfectionist, I'd be way better. And I actually said that with no sense of irony at all. I thought, if I was a perfectionist, I'd be really up there. And she just let the silence hang for a very long time.
It's funny because that is a perfectionist statement, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and I had no idea. And she let that silence hang. It dropped a bit. And I think, after a couple of minutes, I thought, oh, yeah, I see what's happened here. So yeah, very, very interesting. And I have similar experiences with clients a lot now.
Do you do the same kind of? It is important for us to realize that we are perfectionists. I'm going to give you a straightforward example. I'm still is, but I used to be a terrible perfectionist. And when I try to, by base, I work on TV. I was DJ for many years. I toured the world. And then COVID hit, and I did need to find a way to help. And I was growing online a lot, so I could teach people how to grow online. That was my first part. And then I realized I did want to go deep and help people with their offers, help people, figure out things. And my first course, I took 5 hours to edit each video of 3 minutes, to film, to edit, to record, to put sound effects, all of that. And then I found one mentor that I won a mentorship for 1 year on a value of $30,000. And I was so excited to see his videos. And when I went to see his video, it was a PDF with his voice. And it didn't work. Another thing is I found another mentor, another group. I was preparing all my course up front before I sell it. Then I found someone who teach me, no, you prepare the first week of your 6 weeks challenge and you listen their feedback because they tell you what they want to learn after. And it was such a relief. And I think it's just such a secret of results when you you just do it instead of waiting for being perfect, because we'll never be. So if I was your client and I was struggling with perfection, how did you coach me? What questions did you ask me?
Okay, so two different things. One is a practical thing, which I do myself, and because what I see a lot with perfectionism is procrastination. So I can't start it because it's not going to be perfect, and therefore is there any point, that kind of thinking. So one of the big things I will do from a practical point of view is encourage people to try the Pomodoro technique, which I talk about all the time.
Pomodoro technique?
Yes, it's have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, so I use it specifically for tasks that I'm procrastinating on. So you do 25 minutes work, you have a 5-minute break, another 25 minutes work, 5-minute break. Once you've done 4 of those, you have a longer break. But the idea is just sit down and start, and all you have to do is 25 minutes. 10 minutes in, you're usually flooded with relief and you're like, this is fine, I can do it. And then you start to get really focused because of the way that you get these constant breaks. So that's a really practical thing. In terms of the other side of it, there's a lot of exploration about, because I'm a therapist as well, where does this come from? What's the fear about if I don't do things perfectly? What do you fear will happen? And we'll explore that. And I don't spend a lot of time in the past with people because I want to get them moving, but because of my therapeutic background, I feel that it can be helpful just to uncover and just shine some light on where does this behavior come from, because it's so unconscious. And for me, when I was doing the work for myself, I realized that what was creating this need to do things perfectly was a completely unarticulated fear, like you said, fear dressed up in another outfit. Constant fear that someone was going to be angry with me if I didn't do everything perfectly. And once I spoke that and said it out loud, I realized that there wasn't a person. It was an unseen force that I was creating in my mind. And it still happens now. I'll become aware of feeling fearful that I'm not doing something perfect, like I'm going to get in trouble. Once I become aware of it, I can remind myself that's not what's happening here. And then I can keep going with a different mindset.
It's interesting. For me was, they will not love me if it's not perfect. And that comes with a lot of excuses, like not having the best phone to film, not having the best the gear. When I have this camera, I will do this. When I have these editing things, I will do this. When and just do it.
Yeah.
Because, and I had a mentorship on a group, and we call the first launch of a product as a first pancake. Because I don't know if you ever did a pancake, but the first ones always come out like terrible, like, and the importance, they still taste good, they still get the result, but they're not perfect. And that did give me such a relief. So if this podcast have an outcome already, is not us talking about perfectionism and how this leaves money on the table, right? Just start doing what is the worst thing can happen. That is something that I always ask my student people who work with me. What is the worst thing can happen if you film a video with bad light, but great content?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love that. So how do you get clients? Are you working organic mouth or word of mouth, or are you running ads as a boss?
A combination of things. Word of mouth, especially when I was doing the separate therapy and coaching, a lot of clients when they want therapy, want to be referred by somebody they know. So that's one big way. Coaching, I'm on some directories and I get clients through socials as well. So I have a LinkedIn profile that I've had for years from my previous job. And LinkedIn's quite interesting because you don't really get much back, but people are watching.
Yeah.
And I'm really noticing that. Whereas Instagram, for example, you perhaps get a bit more back, but I've had more clients come through LinkedIn than I have Instagram.
I love it because I think LinkedIn is a tool that everyone is leaving on the table and not concerned with. Mm-hmm. So focus on TikToks and other things, and LinkedIn, especially if you work with higher achievers. Your people are there. It's like a different class social media. I cannot explain. I know many people with very high class, high jobs, high paid jobs, who don't have Instagram, who don't spend time for scrolling, don't have that time. So do you work more with high achievers or someone who struggle to get something done, is procrastinating? Do you have?
I don't really see those as being separate. I think that's an interesting question because I think people, sorry, my cat's just.
Don't worry. I'm used to. They have no idea how many podcasts we have. So many a tail of a cat on the screen. So don't worry, I have a cat.
He walks past when I'm seeing clients as well. Anyway, so I see those as being the same people. And most people that I work with, I would say are objectively successful, but they possibly don't feel like they are. And that's because of the perfectionism. So I would say a lot of the people that I work with are high achievers, yeah, but they don't necessarily recognize it.
Okay. What kind of coach are you? Are you a tough coach? Yeah. Are you a tough coach or are you a coach more laid back, more soft?
I would say I am pretty intuitive. So and again, I think this is my therapeutic training. I adapt to what I think is necessary at the time. So if I'm working with somebody who's really struggling, I won't go in hard immediately. I will investigate things with them. I'll try and encourage, nurture them. But if I see, after having really open conversations, if I see certain things continuing, I might come from a bit more of a, I wouldn't say a hard place, but I will call certain things out. But I always do it. I think I always manage to do it compassionately.
What can you share a transformation of one of your clients?
Yes. So let me think about how to say this without revealing anything. So one client, well, this has happened with a couple of clients in particular who have come to me in the way that I described earlier. So they haven't put their finger on what's wrong. They just know they don't feel good. They want to feel differently. So the first part of the transformation is really shining a light on what is it that's causing you issues here? What are you struggling with? What would you like to be different? And how do we go about this? So I think that's first part of the transformation. And what has come to light pretty quickly with quite a few, more than 2 clients actually, is that they're really quite self-critical. They just didn't know that they were.
Oh, Yeah.
So they thought that, and I certainly can identify this. I always thought that I wasn't self-critical. It was that other people were too soft on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So because I work a lot with compassion-focused therapy, that's something I really bring into my approach. And a lot of that is about just really understanding and accepting ourselves, but then taking responsibility to change the things that we want to change. So it's not about lying down to things and saying, oh, this is the way I am and that's the way it's going to be forever. It's about having real strength and conviction and commitment to making change. And with a number of clients, I've taken them on that journey from being really quite self-critical and achieving from a place of fear and anxiety, which has a ceiling to it, that fear-based achievement, to becoming much more self-compassionate and becoming much more compassionate towards other people and being able to achieve more because it's coming from a place of loving themselves and really appreciating themselves.
Nice. What are your vision for the future as a coach?
I would love to do, for myself or for the world?
For yourself?
Myself. So I would love to do more meeting other coaches, speaking to them like we're doing now. I'm really enjoying doing this. I'm really enjoying writing for my website and writing for media posts, social media posts. And so I really would like to do more writing and speaking. That would be something I would love. And working more with groups as well.
So do you have a group offer at this moment?
I do have a group offer at this moment. It's currently, what I would love to do is have it as an evergreen course, which it isn't at the moment. Okay. But so it's currently running. It's a beta launch, this one that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm just really learning. And like you were saying before, it's been really fun to just do it and see what comes up and adapt and change. I didn't have it set in stone at the beginning, and I didn't spend hours and hours. I considered it, I thought about the shape that I would like it to have, and then I've worked intuitively depending on what comes back. So I would love to do more of that too.
What is your opinion about social media?
It's very interesting, my experience of social media, because other than my LinkedIn account that I have had for work for years, but never used, I have never used social media until September. Okay. Ever. So I've never had a Facebook account. I've never had an Instagram account or a Twitter account or anything until September last year. And I opened an Instagram account for work purposes. And I see all the things that are great about social media, and I see all the things that are sometimes not so great about it.
Yeah, I have two sides, and I normally work with people come to me and say, I hate social media. Mm-hmm. I hate to post. And the point is, you can use social media as a business card, just that point. You just need to know the pain points of your clients, know what they struggle with. And on your social media, on the tiles of your social media, you need to have that questions. How to stop being a perfectionist, something who pops up, and have your promise there. And that will give you the clients then you need, because they check you out and they understand, them. So do you think you have you narrow down your avatar, or you did not felt the need of narrow down your perfect client? Meaning,
so I actually
brought, yeah.
I did do that initially, and this is when I was providing the separate services. I was working with different types of people, and since then I've narrowed it down. I still have more work to do, but I think in terms of the content that I'm producing, it is very much targeted to that person that I've described. So perfectionists, people pleasers, people that experience anxiety. So that's pretty much everything that I produce is around that.
So where can people find you online at this moment? Can you share some link? I want you to send to me, so I add to the description as well. But if for the people who are listening to us, can you share where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. So they can find me on Instagram, which is Katie Williams Coaching. Mm-hmm. They can find me on my website, which is katiewilliams.co.uk. And they can find me on LinkedIn as well under Katie Williams. And there's a lot of Katie Williams. So if they look on LinkedIn, it says psychotherapist and coach.
Nice. And do you have space for more clients?
Yes.
Okay.
Not loads, but I have some.
That is important because sometimes I have people come to me and say, I want to grow online. And then I ask them, do you have space for more clients? And they say, not really. So what is the point, right?
Why are you here? Yes, no, I do. And I'm specifically have more space for the right clients. I think that's the key thing.
That is a point. You need to know what clients you want to work, especially if you are spending one-to-one time with them. It's really important. So I normally give to my guests a full hour of my work. So if you are interested in, I'm going to offer you a full hour of checking every detail of your business and checking your dreams as well. I don't want to talk about money and dreams here. I think that is a more private conversation, but looking up to that and just like giving you my ideas. My head is a popcorn machine. So I just come ideas out and I would love to give you that. Now to end, I want you to send a message to yourself on the past, some years ago, to start this journey. Can you?
Yes. So I'm going to say to myself, just keep going. You're going to do it. Sorry?
And a message for yourself on the future.
From the future. Do you know what? It's going to be exactly the same message. Just keep going. It's here. It's here. It is here. You're going to do it.
Oh, nice. Do you want to leave a quote that is your favorite quote?
Oh, yes. What a great way to end. So my favorite quote, which is on my website, is from Carl Rogers, who was a psychotherapist, person-centered psychotherapist. And he says, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself, then I can change.
Oh, that is a great one. Okay, my dear, let's say bye to everyone here on the podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment. We love to see your love there. And I'm going to say bye to you.